my name is Ray Jordan, and my presentation is on Star Wars The Last Jedi. In 2012, George Lucas sold his franchise to Disney, also known as the Dark Sith Lords of movies, under the tutelage of Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy is a Berkeley-educated liberal feminist who was groomed by Hollywood men, told she had good ideas, and was given powerful positions without having to do all that much. Kind of like Rey. In the beginning of the movie, we see a battle scene between the Rebels and the First Order. We see Poe having a prank call to General Hux, which made for a cheap laugh. We also see bombers slowly going towards the First Order's ships. While the X-Wing fighters are keeping the guns busy, the bombers magically have gravity to drop bombs. Then the Rebels go into hyperspace to escape. We then see Snoke for the first time in the movie, speaking to General Hux, then to Kylo Ren. We switch over to Rey, arriving at the planet Octo to meet up with Luke Skywalker. She gives him his lightsaber, and he casually throws it over his shoulder, which made a lot of fans angry if you know the history about that lightsaber. Rey tells Luke that Princess Leia sent her. Back with the Rebels, Leia demotes Poe for disobeying orders during the earlier battle. Right after that, we see TIE fighters sent out to attack the Rebels. Kylo Ren is in a fighter of his own and senses his mother's presence on the ship, in which he refuses to fire. But the other fighters do, blasting the people on the bridge into space. Might I mention that they killed off General Akbar at this moment? Not good. From here we see Leia pull off a Mary Poppins in space, all of a sudden being able to use the Force to survive. Oh, I have to mention that when Leia gets to the door to be opened, it has no repercussions at all, considering the hull was blown into space. Leia then falls into a coma and is replaced by Vice Admiral Holdo, a purple-haired politician-type person who decides to not tell anybody about any plans. Meanwhile, Finn attempts to escape and meets a girl named Rose, who decides to taser him. Then tells that they are being tracked by the First Order, and because they cannot make another jump from being low on fuel, with the help of Poe, they get information from Maz Kanata, and she tells them they can find a code breaker on Canto Bight to help them get to the First Order ship and disable the tracking device. We now jump back to the island where we see Rey getting her first lesson on how to feel the Force. She soon sees herself being pulled toward a dark pit. Luke finally breaks her out of her trance and tells her that she saw the dark side of the Force and didn't even try to stop herself. At this point, Kylo Ren and Rey start Skype calling each other from a distance. We now see Finn and Rose arrive at the casino on Canto Bight. It's full of rich people, and in this section of the movie we get lessons on morality, greed, and slavery. They find a code breaker after they are arrested, and as they make their escape, Rose decides that she has to free those horse-like animals that they use for racing, which is one they also use to escape the building. We eventually see the code breaker betray them, which made the whole journey worthless. Then Rose must escape the First Order ship. Finn and Rose must escape the First Order ship, and eventually the robot BB-8 takes control of it and starts firing away, which gives them the opportunity to escape. However, Captain Phasma shows up, and then Finn and her must battle, and where she dies again. On the Rebel ship, Holdo starts plans to evacuate the Rebels to its stronghold on the planet Crate. This plan is only known by her, and she refuses to tell Poe what's going on. So, he assumes that she is doing something wrong and tends to stage a mutiny. And before it can be effected, Princess Leia wakes up from her coma and shoots him, incapacitating him. Back down on the island, Rey all of a sudden is more powerful than Luke, and because of her Skype calls with Kylo Ren, she finds out that Luke attempted to kill him because Luke saw the dark side in him. She then leaves, and after that, Yoda shows up as a Force ghost who now has powers of electricity and blows up the tree containing the sacred text, which are not in there because Rey took them. Side note, they used Yoda puppet again, which looks horrible. During the fight between Finn and Captain Phasma, Rey steals a ship and goes to that dreadnought, where she meets up with Kylo Ren and he takes her to Snoke. Snoke tries to get Kylo to kill her, but Kylo uses a lightsaber that was sitting next to Snoke and kills him. Funny how that being an all-powerful Sith, you couldn't see that coming. Here we have a great battle scene between Kylo Ren and Rey against the Praetorian Guard. They magically beat them all, and then Kylo tells her that her parents were just junk traders who sold her off. Side note, not canon. She refuses to join him and leaves and goes with the rebels, and while he takes over as supreme leader. As the rebels make their way to the planet, the ships start being fired upon by the First Order ships, killing many of them. Holdo then tells everyone to leave and sacrifices herself and uses light speed in order to kill the First Order ship, and killing all the ships around it as well. Side note, you cannot use light speed as a weapon. So what's left on the rebels are now down on the planet Crate, and there they attempt to make a last stand against the First Order. We get another great battle scene here, as well as the Millennium Falcon showing up and give them the big upper hand on the fighters. However, the First Order has a huge battering ram to break down the doors where the rebels are. Finn decides that he's going to take out the battering ram, but then Rose crashes her ship into him to keep him from killing himself. Here we get some cheeseball romance angle from the Rose and Finn story. Inside the stronghold, after the First Order shoots the battering ram, we see Leia appear hopeless. All of a sudden, she is visited by Luke. They say their goodbyes, and Luke goes out to face the First Order, in which Kylo orders all of them to fire on him. After the smoke clears, we see Luke standing there and brushes his shoulder off. Kylo then goes down to meet him for a duel, and after the fight, only comes to realize that Luke was just a hologram projecting himself from his island. The rebels realize that Luke is distracting them so they can escape. However, they think they are trapped. Enter the Crystal Wolves that know where the exit is at the back of the caves. It is blocked by many rocks, though they can't squeeze through. They can squeeze through, but people can't. On the other side of that pile of rocks, Rey shows up and has super awesome powers to move stone now, where they can escape and leave with the Millennium Falcon. They switch over to the island where they see Luke die. After the final scene, it is shown one of the slave boys from Canto Bight using force powers to move a broom. He then looks up the stars and sees the Millennium Falcon go into light speed. In conclusion, I would like to say that Disney's goal beyond making tons of money is to target primarily younger male audiences, which has been in jeopardy of drifting away for some time now. With the acquisitions of Marvel and Lucas, they are hoping to reignite the fading passion of Star Wars older fans, as well as bring in newer fans with the new Star Wars agenda. All the men in The Last Jedi basically are cowards, failures, inept, or suffer from toxic masculinity. The women know better than them and must save the men from their own masculinity. It's the mindset of an arrogant woman, Kathleen Kennedy, who for years has put up with men around her. Remember, Hollywood is a cesspool. And besides herself to become a beacon of feminine light in the darkness, burning the tree of a force, setting fire to the patriarchy. The subtext of The Last Jedi is very deep and very postmodern. It's a reflection of Miss Kennedy. It's also why they had to destroy what Star Wars meant to us and why half the audience hates this film. The whole film is centered around a low-speed chase, first with the First Order chasing the Resistance fleet, which is low on fuel. We get carbon-copied moments from Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, word for word, moment for moment at times. Rian Johnson, the writer-director, has a hard time with portentous dialogue. It's rather distracting the way he almost fits entire chunks of dialogue from the previous films in it. However, the First Order doesn't have any fuel issues either, so why didn't they just jump into hyperspace and back out again to overtake the Resistance fleet? There are many criticisms of the plot going around the net and in general from the fans, one being that hyperspace tracking issue. In The Last Jedi, we learned that following ships through hyperspace is a new technology, which has only just been developed by the First Order, but it can't have been, since Darth Vader tracks Princess Leia's ship in Episode 4 through hyperspace when she jumps to Tatooine. Rogue One ends with her making the jump, and A New Hope starts with Vader following her over the desert planet, meaning he must have tracked her through hyperspace. These films have an obsession with trying to get rid of the horrible taste left in our mouths from the prequels, which end up having the opposite effect. The Jedi were said to be too powerful in the prequels. In The Last Jedi, we see that powerful Force users can be present, physically present, thousands of light years away. Not only do their astral projections have immediate effect on the environment, but also the other way around. It's not just Luke and his fight with Kylo Ren on Crate. One of Kylo and Rey's Skype sessions ends with drops of water from Octo on Kylo's hands. The immense power remains after they die. Only now can they command the elements, as shown by lightning Yoda uses to burn down the Jedi tree. Why wasn't an easy way out for the resistance all along by using one of the support ships to destroy the First Order's capital ship earlier with the lightspeed thing. If they had pulled a kamikaze move with one of the smallest ships at the start of the chase, they would have been able to punch a hole in the First Order's craft without sacrificing any more people than they did. The fight with the Praetorian Guard in Snoke's throne room is probably the best lightsaber duel in the saga. Not just the fight choreography, but also the beautiful crimson backdrop. People once again question, though, how was Rey able to beat multiple Praetorian Guard? She's only had one training session with Luke, and these guys are the defenders of the head bad guys like the Emperor, and are supposed to be the baddest dudes in the galaxy. Another plot hole comes during the battle on Crate, after Finn and Rose crash their speeders right in front of the First Order's army. How did the pair make it back to the mines without being obliterated during the long-distance run over the open salt plains? Structurally, the movie is very similar to The Empire Strikes Back. Lines and lines of dialogue are lifted from the original trilogy, sometimes entire scenes. The unexpected stuff like Snoke's death comes as a reaction to scenes and moments from classic films. It's not that original. Now that I've mentioned Snoke, the fact that Rian Johnson kills him off so easily by not offering a hint as to why this dude was so powerful, that he was so more powerful than Palpatine, and why he hated Luke so much, we never find out, completely robbing the end of the Return of the Jedi of its power. Rian Johnson has taken what he has set up from The Force Awakens, which in itself is a copy of New Hope, and he has thrown out all canon. All the setups that J.J. Abrams left for him and he went and killed them. Tons of plot holes, leaving all that around, including the worst thing ever as opinionated by me and others, the destroying of the Luke Skywalker character, as well as killing him off. They could have done a switcheroo because Carrie Fisher died in real life, and they could have made an incredible storyline for that, to see her off. Now what are they going to do? We know that Rian Johnson has been pulled from Episode 9, and J.J. Abrams is back. We'll have to see what happens next. One last note. Where are the Knights of Ren? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller?